For a long time, the conversation around Nipsey Hussle's death stayed exactly where the public expected it to stay. A tragic loss, a senseless act of violence, a gifted artist taken too soon by circumstances that felt random and unavoidable. The official story gave people closure, or at least something that resembled it. But years later, that sense of closure has quietly disappeared. Not because of new court rulings, not because of newly released evidence, but because too many unanswered questions refuse to go away. And now, as public scrutiny around Sean Diddy Combs continues to grow, people online have begun revisiting moments they once ignored. Moments involving Nipsey Hussle, Lauren London, and the powerful industry circles they briefly entered. To be clear from the start, there is no proven connection between Diddy and Nipsey's death. No charges, no official findings. What exists instead is something far more complicated. A web of timing, proximity, influence, and silence that has made many people uncomfortable. And discomfort is where this story begins. Nipsey Hussle wasn't just another rapper chasing success. He represented a threat to the traditional industry model. He owned his masters. He built independently. He taught financial literacy and ownership to other artists. He spoke openly about long-term wealth, community investment, and escaping systems designed to control talent. That mindset earned respect, but it also created tension. The music industry has never responded kindly to artists who don't need it. As Nipsey's influence grew, so did his proximity to people who operated on a much larger scale. One of those people was Diddy. By Nipsey's own admission, he didn't initially have a relationship with Diddy. That changed later, and according to publicly available interviews, Lauren London was the connection that brought them closer. That detail alone has fueled endless online speculation. Lauren London was already deeply embedded in elite entertainment circles. She had long-standing relationships with major industry figures, including Diddy. When Nipsey entered that space, many fans now believe he may not have fully understood the dynamics he was stepping into, not because anyone forced him, but because power often doesn't announce itself. Around this time, Diddy became involved in Nipsey's final album, Victory Lap, as an executive producer. On the surface, this looked like a win. Industry validation, bigger reach, increased visibility. But in hindsight, fans have begun questioning how quickly that involvement happened and what it meant financially. Executive producer credits matter. They come with influence, control, and long-term profit participation. After Nipsey's death, streams of Victory Lap surged globally. That success benefited everyone attached to the project. At the time, few questioned it. Now, many are revisiting it. Online discussions intensified when old interviews resurfaced. Moments where Nipsey spoke about wanting his work to carry the same weight as albums released after an artist's passing. He referenced Life After Death by the Notorious B.I.G., an album released after Biggie's murder, which became one of the most commercially successful hip-hop albums of all time. Some viewers now interpret those comments differently, not as foreshadowing, but as a reflection of how closely success, legacy, and death are intertwined in hip-hop mythology. That interpretation isn't proof of anything, but it has become part of the narrative people can't ignore. What truly escalated online speculation, however, wasn't business or music, it was timing. Lauren London later revealed that before Nipsey's death, she had attended a seminar focused on grief and loss. At the time she attended, Nipsey was still alive. Her explanation was spiritual, about understanding life, transition, and healing. But once fans learned this detail after his passing, it raised eyebrows. Not because grief education is suspicious, but because humans are wired to look for meaning when tragedy strikes. Social media did what it always does. It connected dots, fairly or unfairly. Those dots grew darker when comparisons were made to long-standing rumors involving Diddy and Kim Porter. Again, there is no proven wrongdoing, but the similarity in timelines became a talking point people couldn't let go of. Then came renewed attention on public statements from industry commentators like Jaguar Wright, who has long claimed that powerful figures protect themselves while others take the fall. Her comments didn't present evidence, but they added fuel to a fire already burning. Suddenly, old photos resurfaced. Clips were rewatched. Body language was analyzed. Interactions that once looked normal were now scrutinized frame by frame. People noticed how Nipsey appeared quieter in certain spaces, how Lauren often spoke for him around powerful figures, how Diddy's presence seemed to grow closer near the end of Nipsey's life. None of this proves intent. None of this proves conspiracy. But it explains why so many people are still asking questions. The official narrative says Eric R. Holder Jr. acted alone and is serving a life sentence. That fact stands. But public curiosity doesn't always stop at legal conclusions, especially when a figure like Nipsey represented something bigger than music. He represented independence, and independence has enemies. As more details from unrelated investigations involving Diddy surfaced in the media years later, people began reevaluating everything, not rewriting history, but questioning whether history had been simplified. Lauren London, for her part, has remained largely silent. Some view that silence as grace. Others see it as avoidance. In the court of public opinion, silence rarely lands neutrally. And that's where the tension lives. Not in accusations, not in proof, but in unanswered questions. Because when powerful systems collide with independent voices, the truth is rarely simple and almost never loud. And this is only the beginning. As more people revisited Nipsey Hussle's final years, one thing became impossible to ignore: the shift in his environment. Longtime fans noticed it before the internet did. Nipsey's tone changed. His interviews became more measured. His presence felt heavier, more guarded. He still spoke about ownership, legacy, and independence. But there was an underlying sense of caution that hadn't been there before. That shift didn't happen overnight. In the months leading up to his death, Nipsey was moving deeper into spaces dominated by corporate power, legacy wealth, and long-established industry hierarchies. These were rooms where independence wasn't celebrated. It was negotiated. And for an artist who built his identity on not needing permission, that adjustment alone raised questions. Fans began asking whether Nipsey had started realizing that proximity to power came with expectations. Expectations that didn't always align with his values. That's where online speculation began to intensify. People started connecting patterns they'd seen before in the music industry. Situations where artists who moved differently were eventually pressured, redirected, or quietly absorbed into systems they originally resisted, not through force, but through opportunity, through access, through relationships that looked beneficial on the surface. Diddy, to many observers, represented that system. For decades, he has been viewed as a master of influence, someone who understands how to position himself at the center of cultural moments. He's known for aligning with rising talent, attaching himself to legacy-defining projects, and being present when narratives are shaped. Again, none of that is illegal. None of that is proof of wrongdoing. But it does explain why his name carries weight whenever conversations about power and control come up. After Nipsey's death, that weight felt heavier. Diddy's public involvement in honoring Nipsey, speaking on his legacy, and being tied to Victory Lap became points of discussion online. Some fans saw it as respect. Others felt it happened too quickly, too prominently, as if control over the narrative was shifting away from the community Nipsey built and toward larger industry forces. That perception, fair or not, stuck. Lauren London's role in all of this became one of the most debated aspects of the story, not because of anything she was proven to have done, but because of her proximity to everyone involved. She was the bridge between Nipsey and spaces he hadn't previously occupied. She understood the industry in a way he may not have needed to before. That made people uncomfortable. Online conversations began framing her, less as a bystander and more as a gatekeeper. someone who could open doors, but also determine which ones stayed closed. Again, there is no evidence she acted with malicious intent, but when tragedy strikes, proximity often becomes suspicion. Silence only amplifies that effect. Lauren's decision to remain largely private after Nipsey's death has been interpreted in wildly different ways. Some see strength and dignity, others see avoidance. In reality, silence is neither proof nor confession, but on social media, it's rarely treated that way. Then there's the issue of timing. Fans began rewatching interviews where Nipsey spoke about legacy, death, and spirituality. Comments that once sounded philosophical now felt ominous to some viewers. The human brain is wired to retroactively assign meaning after loss, and the internet magnifies that instinct. Every quote becomes a clue. Every pause becomes intentional. Every coincidence becomes a pattern. That doesn't make the theories true, but it explains why they persist. What intensified the discussion even further was the resurfacing of comments from industry critics who have long accused powerful figures of insulating themselves, while others bear consequences. These voices didn't present evidence, but they echoed frustrations many fans already felt about how the industry operates. A recurring theme emerged: control without accountability. People questioned why artists who challenge systems often face instability, while those who benefit from those systems remain untouched. They asked why narratives are so quickly settled when uncomfortable questions arise. And they wondered why certain names always seem to survive controversy without ever directly addressing it. Diddy, as a symbol, became the focal point of those questions. Not because of confirmed actions related to Nipsey, but because of what he represents in the industry: longevity, power, silence, influence without explanation. The conversation stopped being about one person and started becoming about a pattern. That pattern, according to many fans, looks like this: an independent artist rises. He refuses traditional control. He enters powerful spaces. His narrative changes. And when tragedy strikes, the system continues uninterrupted. Whether that pattern reflects reality or perception is still up for debate. But perception alone has power, especially when millions of people share it. What also added fuel to the discussion was how quickly speculation was dismissed rather than addressed. Instead of transparent explanations, the public was offered closure without clarity. For some, that was enough. For others, it felt like avoidance. And avoidance creates vacuum. In that vacuum, theories grow. Some focused on business, others leaned into spirituality. Others saw it as another example of how industries consume and discard those who don't fully submit. Each theory says more about the audience than the event, but that doesn't stop them from spreading. What's undeniable is this: Nipsey Hussle symbolized independence in an industry built on dependency. And anytime someone represents a different way forward, their story becomes bigger than their life. That's why the questions haven't faded. Not because people want scandal, but because they want understanding. And understanding doesn't come from silence. As time goes on, the conversation has shifted away from blame and towards something deeper: accountability. Not legal accountability, but cultural accountability. The kind that asks whether industries should do more to protect artists who move differently, rather than absorbing them into systems they were trying to escape. That's the real tension underneath all of this, and it's why this story refuses to disappear. Because until power, influence, and legacy are discussed openly, without fear or deflection, people will continue searching for answers in the gaps left behind. And those gaps are exactly where the internet lives. At this point, what keeps this story alive isn't proof, it's pressure. Pressure created by silence, by patterns, and by an industry that has never been fully transparent about how power actually works behind closed doors. No court has ruled on these claims. No investigation has officially connected these dots. And yet, millions of people continue to ask the same question: why does this story feel unfinished? Nipsey Hussle represented something rare. He wasn't just a rapper. He was a blueprint: ownership, independence, community wealth, a model that didn't rely on approval from the very systems that had historically controlled artists. That alone made him different. And history shows that when someone challenges the status quo without permission, the discomfort doesn't always come from enemies. Sometimes it comes from allies, from proximity, from opportunity wrapped in influence. Lauren London remains a deeply respected figure to many, and nothing presented online has proven wrongdoing. But proximity creates scrutiny, especially when silence follows tragedy. That's not fair, but it is reality in a culture where narratives move faster than facts. As for Diddy, his name continues to surface not because of confirmed actions in this specific situation, but because of what he symbolizes in the public mind. Power that doesn't explain itself. Influence that rarely responds. A figure who remains standing while stories swirl around him. And then there's the audience. People aren't demanding punishment, they're demanding clarity. They're questioning why the same patterns repeat across decades in entertainment, why artists who move independently often face instability while those who control access remain insulated. That doesn't mean wrongdoing occurred, but it does mean the system invites suspicion when transparency is absent. What makes this conversation different now is that audiences are no longer satisfied with surface-level answers. They're revisiting old footage, re-examining business relationships, and questioning how narratives are shaped after someone is gone. Not to accuse, but to understand. Because understanding is how industries evolve. This isn't about conspiracy, it's about accountability culture. It's about whether powerful institutions can exist without ever explaining themselves. And it's about whether independence in entertainment is truly allowed, or only tolerated until it becomes inconvenient. The truth may never be fully known, and that's uncomfortable. But ignoring the questions doesn't make them disappear. It just guarantees they'll return louder next time. So now the conversation shifts to you. Do you believe this is a case of unrelated events being amplified by social media? Or do you think the entertainment industry has unresolved patterns it refuses to confront? Drop your thoughts in the comments, respectfully. And if you found this breakdown informative, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who follows celebrity culture, and subscribe to I Love Gossip for more conversations that don't fade just because they're uncomfortable. Because some stories don't end when the headlines stop. They wait until people are ready to listen.